Spider-Gwen just had to fight herself. But let me explain. As soon as the story started, something wasn't right. Gwen was terrorizing everyone in the city, even going as far to spray paint "I hate NYC." You know that's just gonna make someone mad. But as we see, the real Gwen Stacy is chained up somewhere. To those of you watching this video, please control yourselves in the comments. She begins to see her own father, Captain George Stacy, but it's not really him. Basically her own brain tricking her into seeing an authority figure telling her that she needs to get out of this. She's so overcome with emotion that she shoots the whoop right out of there, and is finally able to break free with her newfound power. She's now face to face with the person causing all of this chaos, and it's her. So the two of them go at it, and our Gwen is on the back foot the entire time. She's completely outclassed, until the 5-0 show up, and makes this fake Gwen have to take a step back. But the other Gwen is using sand powers? That's not right. The original Ghost Spider snaps, and it looks like the imposter's gone for now. But who was it? Well, as we find out, it was the Chameleon. But instead of wearing masks of other heroes, they actually have their powers. Gwen really has her work cut out for her now. Spider-Gwen just got a new power and it's making fans mad. Let's talk about it. We find out in the pages of Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, issue number 3, that while Gwen is chained up, a latent ability activates, causing her to expel a massive energy beam from her mouth and crackle with electricity. You might be thinking, why does this power make fans mad? Well, let me explain. Spider beings having electric powers is nothing new. Obviously, we now have Spider-Gwen, but before that, there was Miles Morales. Because I'm sure that everyone familiar with the character knows that he has electric powers, in addition to the regular spider powers. But so does Jessica Drew. Yes, that's right. The original Spider-Woman also has electric powers. That's 3 spider beings with electricity-related powers. Do I hear 4? It's just sad that they haven't given any of these new powers to Peter, since he was the original and he's the archetype for all of these characters being able to even exist. Marvel will hear you say you want him to have new powers, and they'll give you a Paul storyline. Let that sink in. This man has single-handedly torn the Spider-Man fandom to shreds. But who is he? This is Paul from Marvel Comics, specifically Spider-Man's new arch-nemesis. After Peter goes to a different universe to get help, he doesn't immediately come back. In fact, due to time dilation, he's actually gone for years, and MJ and Paul develop an entire relationship, get married, and adopt kids, as well as get ridiculously jacked. But like I said, due to time dilation, all of these years have gone by for these two. However, for Peter, it was only a couple of days. So he married Peter Parker's girl, punched him in the face, started a family with MJ, is actually the son of a villain, and then lied about it to his own wife, is still married to MJ now that they're back into the 616 universe. Don't worry, those kids get erased because they're not actually real. Is a genius that somehow developed gauntlets for MJ to turn her into a character named Jackpot, who can basically have the power of any superhero in Marvel Comics, based off of a game of chance with slot machines on her wrists. There's nothing he can't do. You know, besides make fans like him. Mary Jane Watson is Spider-Man's biggest villain.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Alright, just hear me out. Sure, Spider-Man has villains like Green Goblin, who took out his girlfriend, Gwen Stacy. But before that, he literally took out his girlfriend, Gwen Stacy. Or even his on-again, off-again partner, Black Cat, who's also a bit of an anti-hero, who did a fake proposal to catch Spider-Man off guard and then swept his legs out. Dr. Octopus literally stole Peter's body and let him die, and she's still worse. And to explain this, let me go back a bit. Peter and MJ have been together for years, but she's actually caused the most damage for Peter. Let me explain. Remember how I mentioned that Green Goblin actually hooked up with Gwen Stacy? Well, MJ knew about it for years and never told Peter. Until finally, one day, the kids ended up showing up and she told him. Okay, that's pretty bad, but it gets worse, as she made a deal with the devil to get rid of her and Peter's relationship so that Aunt May would live. You know, a 90-year-old woman. But don't worry, before they made the deal, the devil showed them what their kid would look like if they would have stayed together. And then there's Paul. But if you want to know why he's hated so much, click the related video.
So I just finished reading through Jackpot and Black Cat issue number 1, and all I have to say is,
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I must have been completely out of the loop because I had no idea that MJ ended up getting superpowers channeled through gauntlets that pay out at random, so she doesn't even know what powers she's going to be using. Okay, that's fine, that's an interesting concept and keeps people on their toes. Wait a minute. Who is that? Oh my god, they didn't. Okay, this is going to be a team-up book between Black Cat and MJ, where MJ has random powers that she really can't control, and her guy in the chair is Paul. Yeah, okay, that checks out. The crux of this story is that these three are forced to work together because somebody's blackmailing Felicia and MJ. They basically just use Paul as a man-bunned Jarvis, and realistically, I don't see myself reading any more of this.
Like and subscribe.
In Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 6, Peter finally gets his secret identity. When Peter faces his family after, let's just say, a less than ideal night of crime fighting, they begin to get a little worried about him. and he finally breaks down and tells the truth to his son and wife. Peter's been working with Harry Osborn, who, in this universe, is the Green Goblin. And he seems to be more of a ends justify the means kind of guy, and that doesn't necessarily jive with Peter. And after they try to get a surprise attack off on the Kingpin, they get thoroughly smashed in the face with the reality of this situation, as they are completely outclassed. And I mean literally smashed in the face. That's why Peter is all bruised up. But Mary Jane's not mad about this. In fact, she's actually kind of proud. That's when she tells Peter that his code name should be pretty obvious to him. It's Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 7 just came out and we have a lot of questions. I think it goes without saying, spoilers ahead. The Goblin suit is busy being worked on, and it turns out the person working on it is Otto Octavius. I mean, he's not like 70 years old rocking a bowl cut, so I guess that's a downgrade. And we learn through Otto that both the Goblin suit and Spider-Man suit have a shared connection. The fact that they're both made by Tony Stark, meaning they're on the same network. And they both have their own onboard AI, which can be activated with its own personality. And Harry knows exactly who he wants in his head. We also see that Wilson Fisk has a full-on picture of the Maker in his house, who, since he created this universe, is worshipped as kind of a deity, which is just all sorts of messed up. We find out that Kingpin has more than one plan to take out Goblin and Spider-Man. In fact, he has 6. At this point, I don't think he's actually talking about the Sinister Six. I think that Jonathan Hickman threw that out there for fans. Spider-Man and the Goblin begin training with each other, and Octavius activates the AI in their suits. Peter opted to have a copy of his own consciousness, and Harry chose Norman Osborn. But if you look closely at the balloons where Peter's AI is talking, it's black. The same color as Venom's. Oh, and Tony's back.
What the f?
Spider-Man's back with the Venom symbiote, so things are gonna get wild. This is Venom War, Spider-Man issue number 1. And it begins with the symbiote bonding with Peter Parker again. Except this time their minds will not be bonded. But while Venom's going on Peter, he asks, "How does it feel? Do I still fit?" And that just gave me the ick. And I mean, these two characters have a very weird relationship. Considering he wore the symbiote for a while, then it tried to eat him. You know, plus it's basically bonded to everyone who's ever hated Peter Parker, so it's gotta have a little bit of resentment. But suddenly, the Hobgoblin attacks. Sorry about that, I misspoke. I meant an army of Hobgoblins attacked. Peter's on the back foot, but don't worry, the cavalry's arrived. And it's none other than... oh no. If you're not familiar, this is Jackpot, otherwise known as Mary Jane Watson. And the gold bangle on her wrist actually gives her different powers, all at random like a slot machine. Is it incredibly overpowered? Yes, it is. And now they're basically fighting Cthulhu. But even that isn't going to be the biggest problem, because Jackpot being in the story means Paul won't be far behind. Why does Spider-Man's biggest bully have 2 different symbiotes? Let me explain. I recently got this comment over on TikTok, asking how Flash Thompson got his own symbiote suits. But to answer that, we had to backtrack a little bit. I'm sure we're all familiar with Venom, specifically the Eddie Brock version. Well, Eddie Brock had cancer, and when the Venom symbiote left him and went to Scorpion instead, it went out of remission. And when it tried merging back with Eddie, he turned into this, Anti-Venom. Elsewhere, Flash Thompson served in the Iraq War and lost both of his legs. But the government had him bond with Venom, turning him into Agent Venom, basically a tool that could be used by the government, but could also work with multiple superhero teams, like the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. But eventually the Venom symbiote left Lieutenant Dan. During a fight trying to figure out who the Venom symbiote would bond with, chemicals fell on Flash. These anti-venom chemicals mixed with the trace amounts of venom symbiote still left in his body, creating this new anti-venom. As an added bonus, he gets to walk again. This is how Spider-Man got through his biggest challenge to date. This is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, issue number 6 from volume 2. And in this issue, we meet Spider-Bite, a young spider being who looks up to Spider-Man. And right off the bat, he saves Peter from getting crushed under some debris. But things aren't over yet, because together they have to fight the Sinister 60 of Marvel's biggest villains. But with the combined might of Spider-Bite and Spider-Man, these villains don't stand a chance. The only one left is Stiltman. But then, something happens. Spider-Bite starts coughing, and the background begins to fade. As it turns out, Spider-Bite is a young boy named Nathan, suffering from cancer, and Spider-Man stopped by to play with him, along with all of the hospital crew dressed up as Spider-Man's biggest villains. The doctors tell Nathan that it's time to go to bed, and he starts screaming no. But the doctors tell Spider-Man that the reason he doesn't want to go to sleep is he's afraid he's not going to wake up. Nathan is so upset because he thinks he ruined his day with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man says it's okay. He asks him if he liked being Spider-Man for a day, and Nathan says yes. And Peter says good because it's not over yet, and takes him out on the town.